What's going on? Charles Botenston here. We're going to be talking about something that's very personal, and it's something that you're definitely going to go through. Just anytime you do something that's a little bit different, Gabrielle, really appreciate the in-depth conversation, or comment, I should say, that you had on my previous video, because that really triggered this. And in short, what she was saying is that she's having a change in her lifestyle. She's becoming vegan. And this could be with anything. It could be that you move to another city, or you're being more positive, you're losing weight, you are becoming vegan, or you're starting to make money, you're starting to become smarter. Anything that's different than what people know you as. So we all know people as a certain personality, and our brains do this on purpose, because if we had to figure out who they were every single time, every person, we would go insane. But our brain says this is who they are, and then you literally categorize them. It could be this: these are the people that I go biking with, here are the people that I hang out with on Friday, here's a girlfriend, here's someone that I'm interested in, here's a friend, here's a colleague. And you're not only does it put in the boxes of what the relationship is, but it puts it into the box of what your personality is. So for myself, I'll give you a perfect example, and a very personal example, I should say, is growing up. I mentioned this many times. I wasn't good at school. I hated school. Obviously, the words I'm using, you have to be careful the words you use. But at the time, since it's beyond, not during, if I said I hate school, then you'll never like school, because you'll look through the lens. You'll look through school through that lens of hatred, of not liking, of disliking. And school will show up that way to you. That's your perception, that's your reality. Because it's not true. Someone else will love school. And that's the funny thing is, the only reason it's true to you is because that's the reality, that's the perception that you're seeing school through. But I wasn't good at school, I didn't get good grades, I wasn't honors class by any means. I made sure that the top 90% were always in the top 90%. And I just wasn't destined to succeed. So people knew me as a guy who was that class clown, that guy that always made jokes, and he partied, and he was like a social guy, made jokes and everything else, but I was never taken seriously. They're always like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, no, he's the guy that makes us laugh. He's the guy that's fun to invite to parties, but I don't really expect that much from him. That was the box that I was put in. That was the personality. We all know it. The guy that's the stoner, the loner, the funny guy, the class clown, the confident guy, the insecure guy, whatever. Whatever personalities. You can have the person you're like, very personable, not personable. And it goes from there. You box everyone, and it's good. It's good that we do this. Otherwise, we'd have to rediscover every person all the time. The problem is that you're boxed in there. And as Tony Robbins says, you live into who you think you are, and you live into who people think you are. So you live into who people think you are. So if you're known as the athlete, or the nerd, or the smart person, or the cheerleader, or whatever, the musician, whatever other classes there are, you live into that. The smart guy. Okay, I always have to be smart because I'm known as the smart guy. Or if you're on time, you're always the person that's on time. Oh, no, don't worry about it. He's always on time. And then when you're late, they're like, something's wrong. He's always on time. He's the on-time person. See? He's really smart. And then if you start slipping and your grades start slipping, they're like, something's wrong. This is weird. He must be going out late. He's not studying as hard, because he's known as the smart person. So if people know... You know yourself as something, people know you as something. That's the box that you live in, unfortunately. Or you could not have a box, and you are... Either way, you're in a box, because even if you're crazy, or you're off the wall, your personality, like myself, I'm just this very eclectic, fun, outgoing personality that's over the top for a lot of people. Very over the top for a lot of people. And then the people that love it are the ones that I want to associate with, because those are the movers and shakers. Those are the Gary Vaynerchuks, the Richard Bronsons, the Elon Musks, the ones that really ding the world, as Steve Jobs said. So people know you as something. When you start going outside of that, and it could be a physical box. They know me as the guy that has tattoos. They know me the guy with short hair. They know me the guy without any facial hair. They know me as someone that's never been in shape. And then say you start cutting your hair, or you start getting tattoos, or you start getting in shape, people are like, whoa, what's going on? And you'll start advertising this, or you start marketing it on Instagram, that you have this new body, that you're going to the gym, that you met someone at a club, or a club as in like a sports club, or that you just took a class, like spin class or Zumba or CrossFit or whatever the case is. Here in New York City, there's this huge trend of Tone House. It's the same thing as CrossFit. And if you start showing those photos, they don't know you as that. They have no idea. They're like, hold on, no, he's not that person. And then they start questioning you. But really, the reason they're questioning you is because they're questioning themselves. So when I first started on this whole self-development trail, I wasn't the smart guy, as I said before. I wasn't known as the guy that I can rely on for information. And I got ripped on. I got made fun of. I started becoming positive. People hated that. They're like, dude, what kind of positive Pollyanna BS are you spilling on Instagram and Facebook and everything else? And nobody liked it. Literally, like figuratively and literally. Literally, I got no likes. Like I'd get 1 or 2 likes. And over time, and it was hard because you're like, they're trying to put you back in the box they know you as, the partier, the guy that doesn't read, the guy that's, he may have money, but he's not going to be successful. There's no way. He's definitely not going to be the guy that I'm going to be looking onto selling or buying my house. It's just, especially that, I was friends with all these guys, and none of my friends wanted to work with me because they put me as the partier. They put me as the guy that barely made it through high school, barely made it through college, partied the whole time. That's all my photos, that's all my stories in college and everything else. And then I started coming out and reading and everything else, and they weren't aware of it. Okay, so there's many different types of this. So they weren't aware of this whole mind shift that I said, oh my God, I can actually read and become better in a subject. And then I just started absorbing books. And I was actually insecure in the beginning. I was very insecure about the books. I was very insecure that I went to Tony Robbins. I was very insecure about the positivity because I was getting, whether it was in person where someone would bring it up, where they would be like, dude, I saw this post. What's up with this reading gig that you got going on? Or, hey, I just saw this this motivational guy, Tony Robbins. What's going on there? The guy's a snake oil salesman. Those comments, though joking, this is why I wish I learned what I'm about to say 10 years ago when I started. If you identify so deeply with self-development, where that is you should never identify with anything that you actually feel bad or any kind of emotion. Because, in other words, I started relating to reading and Tony Robbins and everything else. And then when they started making fun of it, my identity was tied now to Tony Robbins and the books, so I had to defend it. And then they would rip me even more. We're out at a bar, we're drinking and everything else, and I would say, listen, we shouldn't drink as much, or we shouldn't have these fries or these burgers or whatever. And like, dude, what kind of positive thinking BS are you doing? Are you drinking Kool-Aid or what? And because I identified with that, it hurt. It hurt me. But now I know that all they were saying was words. I chose the feeling. I chose how to react to it. Now, when someone says Tony Robbins, a BS artist and whatever, I'm like, oh, okay. It doesn't affect me because I know that my identity isn't tied to that person. And when someone says something against that, when you have an identity, and your identity could be anything. And this really falls into it, because when you start defending it and you start pushing your agenda on other people, they push back. I tried, literally the first Tony Robbins event, I spent probably $400 or $500 that I did not have at all on self-development stuff, and I was gifting it to my parents, and I pushed it so hard that they resented it. They didn't read anything. They didn't want to listen to me. And I was like, wow, I'm like, how do they not see what I'm seeing? You can't push it on anyone. And the reason being, for multiple reasons, is that I identified it as that, which is your ego, and I tried to have my ego change them, but they're not broken. They don't need to be fixed. You go with your higher self, which is whatever you want, hopefully positive. Say vegan. Gabrielle's question was about vegan. So don't identify as anything. Some people, I'm an athlete. I am a positive thinking person. And that's the thing, is if someone either dings it or you're not that, then you feel bad. And that's the suffering I was talking about. The gap between what you think you should be and what the current situation is. Say you feel down or depressed or anything, you're like, this isn't like me. This is crazy. I shouldn't identify like. That's your ego. Anything you identify with. You could buy a purse or a handbag. Everything we wear is an identity. And that's all people are selling you, is identities. And you buy it. It could be in the form of food or vacations or clothing or headphones. Why are Beats by Dre so popular? Because people want to identify as that. Apple, iPhone, yes, they make superior products, but there's something in the identity of someone that doesn't buy an Apple. They're saying, I'm not with the masses. I'm away from the masses. And if you identify with it, you will try and change people. So don't identify with it. Identify with it, but don't have it as your identity. That's the best way to put it, is don't have it as your identity. That's all I was doing in the make sure this guy doesn't distract you guys. That's what I was doing in the beginning, was identifying, because that's what I thought. So number one is don't identify as that, or don't have it as your identity. Self-development, I'm a vegan. Don't say that. Just say, I think veganism is without meat, I don't know. Or no, that's vegetarian. I don't know what vegan is. I should look it up. I'm like classified vegan. I don't really eat that much meat. I only like greens and anything that grows out of the ground. Start reading up on your health. I'm telling you right now, it's only going to get worse, the food that they put in there. GMOs and everything else. But that's just a side bender. But for me, how I got away from it is, number one, there's 3 steps to it. I wish I had the information that I'm telling you right now. Oh my God, it's already 13 minutes. This is insane. But there's 3 steps to it. Number one is you have to just be it. You don't do it. There's 3 levels. There's have, do, be. So I want to have all this stuff. And then you're like, you know what? Okay, no, I got to do more. Both of them are incorrect. You have to be more. So what you have to do is be who you want to be, but don't have it as your identity. Be the vegan, be the athlete, be the smart guy, be the person that reads, be the movie guy, be the entrepreneur, be the business owner, be the great husband, wife, son, daughter, whatever. Be that. Don't have it as your identity. Because at one time, something's going to happen. Your business could collapse, your parents pass away, or you don't make the team, and then your identity is removed. You're like, oh my God, I was an athlete. Now I'm not an athlete. What do I do? Don't have it as your identity. That's number one. Number 2 is, so in other words, be that. Number 2 is, don't ever push your agenda on anyone, because they feel that they're being sold. So what I did was, what I noticed after 2 years of trying to push my agenda on my parents, my friends, social media, and everything else, I just lived it. And I didn't push anything. I just said, had a great workout at the gym, had an amazing closing with my clients, had a fantastic time out on this vacation, or whatever the case is. So you be it, you live it, and by osmosis, they will become it. That's it. And there's no greater feeling than having someone, as Gary Vaynerchuk talks about, you guys are my oxygen, my friends, my family, everyone that says that one little email or that one little comment that says, I've started reading, or you got me to the gym, or you got me to think about my health, or you got me to start my business, or dude, I really, even if they don't like or comment on any of the things, I'll talk to them in person, and I'm like, I had no idea you were watching the videos. And it really, really feels good. So through osmosis, that's how you can actually bring more people on board. You look at all the great leaders of the past that we're talking about today, say Jesus or Gandhi or Mother Teresa. Don't look at them as religious figures. Look at them more as... And by the way, when you talk about Jesus, what the church and what Jesus talks about are two totally different things. Jesus was like, yeah, just look that up. Like, he was not talking about like gay marriage and all these other things that the church is talking about. He was talking about giving, being, not having, and doing. So when you, through osmosis, you start changing people, like my mom. Perfect example. Last night, I gave my I gave my mom a book about health. One of the best books. I'm about to put out a video on the top 5 books. And one of the books was on health. And essentially, I said, if you want, I have it left over. Nobody picked it up. If you read it or whatever. I saw my mom last night. And she's halfway through. She's got pages of notes. I was so happy. You know why? Because I'm 10 years into it. And she sees what it's done to me. That's the biggest thing. An alcoholic can't convert other alcoholics until that alcoholic is sober for a long time. Could be a month, a year, 10 years, whatever. Only until you prove that it works. Until you prove, it's like science. You can't prove gravity until you drop a pencil. You can't prove that going to the gym works until someone consistently goes to the gym and eats right. You can't prove a product until you live it. That's the biggest thing, is you have to be it. I am this. Don't have it as your identity. Live it. Consistently live it. Just live it, and then through osmosis, other people will get on board. And I'll tell you about criticism, and I know I'm pushing 20 minutes, but this is one of the most important videos that I'll ever have. And then I'll probably say that for another video in the future. But this is... Grant Cardone said this. Grant Cardone said one of the best things that I've taken to heart is, first, they'll make fun of you. I'm sorry. First, they'll criticize you. No. They'll actually make fun of you. They'll make fun of you, poke fun at you, and da-da-da. That's what happened to me. And that's what's going to happen to you. As you go on the self-development journey, as you start losing weight, as you start making more money, whatever, as you start getting smarter and you start upgrading your social circle, your past social circle is going to want to come back into your life. I ran into a guy today in the gym. We graduated high school. This guy was, I shit you not, I went to one of the hardest high schools, one of the toughest high schools. Look it up, Chaminade High School on Long Island. And it's like, they only accept a certain amount, and just because my brother was an athlete, and they thought I was going to be an athlete as well. That's why they took us on board. But this guy that was sat behind me all 4 years, I don't think he got a grade below 98 all 4 years. One of the smartest guys, full ride Notre Dame. His dad's a multi-millionaire. I saw him the other day. I saw him today, and he's like, "Yeah, let's hang out in a couple of days." And in my mind, I looked at him. It's like, he's a great guy. It's nothing about him. It's just, I'm over that. I'm over that era. He wasn't the type of person that, his demeanor was fine. He's still the nice, great guy. But in 10 years, it was a night and day. He's more subdued and calm. And what you'll notice is that people invite you to things that they're doing because they want you as the external entertainment. They want you there to please and pleasure and entertain them and keep the conversation going, the fun and excitement. And then I started knowing that I was the only one in the creating the fun and excitement. And then as you start, and I was like, I'm out. And then as you start trading up the social groups, once you say I'm out, they'll start bringing you back in. So number one is they'll make fun of you. When you get past the making fun stage and they're like, okay, this doesn't work, they'll start criticizing you. And they'll say, this is ridiculous. And the criticism phase, the reason, so the make fun phase, the reason it's a make fun phase is because they are actually saying, this is not who you used to be. I'm going to make fun of you because this is not the box that you're in. Okay? Imagine this, and I know I'm over 20 minutes. Imagine this. You meet someone and you know them as an in-shape, fantastic, outgoing person. But 5 years earlier, they were a completely out-of-shape person, and you saw photos of that, and you're like, no way. But your friends see you through the transition. That's why they make fun of you, is because they have the identity of who you are and who you're not, so they make fun of you. The criticism phase, the reason there's a criticism phase is because they are now judging themselves. They are now questioning themselves. So you keep on going the journey of getting healthier, getting wealthier, getting fit, having great relationships, having an awesome life, everything else. They made fun of you. That didn't work. And then they start seeing that you're rising above. And then they start criticizing you, which is a deeper level of insecurity. So they start criticizing you because they're questioning themselves. So know that the third stage is that, and it could be your friends. If it's your friends, they will start ignoring you. If it's someone you don't know, they'll start hating you. And then the last stage, which is where you want to go, say for any of the great leaders, is they start admiring you. Because you made it through all of the social pressure. You made it through all the comments and the tough work and the grind of making phone calls or going to the gym or eating right or making the money or creating the jobs or studying or making the team or winning the championship, whatever. You went through all that criticism and that fear and that judgment and everything else. They'll start admiring you. And that is the stage I'm at. It has taken me 10 years. It could take you longer as long as you, and I'm not going to say this arrogantly, but as long as you watch videos like mine by people that are, way more successful, that are like me but are deeper into the self-development journey, like Brian, like actualized.org, he's incredible. Brian Johnson, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Seth Godin, there's so many different business leaders out there. But know that your day will come. I know we're at 22 minutes. I hope you watch this whole thing because this was literally from the heart. I just flowed. This was a rant and a half. But if you have any questions about this, just know that you will start connecting with people if you push through this. The first stage is you have to be it. It's the first stage. You have to be it, but don't have it as your identity. You have to live it, and through osmosis, everyone else around you will change, or you just move on to a different group. You're really moving up. That's really it is. You're moving up to another social circle, another group. So have an awesome day. Leave your comments below. I'll join in the discussion. This was one of the best videos that I put out because it was from the heart. It was exactly what I'm like, and I really appreciate everyone that watches this because I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult because you're questioning yourself. It's self-awareness. You're judging and you're improving. And that's, most people are in the state. I've said that multiple times. They're just walking around like drones. And we're becoming, with social media and having entertainment literally at the click of our hands, all it is literally people easily entertained, easily having dopamine shot through their veins by going through Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook, and then they just zone out into the state, and then they never chase their dreams. So I'm really happy that you guys are chasing your dreams. Subscribe to the video if you haven't. This is definitely the longest one I've put up, but definitely one of the better ones. Have an awesome day. Leave the comments below.